Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Fall Training Series third installation called Make a Joyful Noise. I'm so glad that y'all were able to join us today. My name is Raquel. I'm the DC Resist Here organizer, and then our co-facilitator, Michael. Would you like to introduce yourself real quick?
Sure. Hey, my name is Michael. I'm an organizer and artist from Minneapolis.
Oh, Michael, hang on real quick. I'm sorry. We cannot hear you.
Can you hear me
now? Not quite yet, but we are working to get you audible. Okay. Awesome. Michael, can you go ahead and start what you were saying again? I'm sorry.
Yep. Can you hear me?
Yeah, that's perfect. Thank you.
Cool. But I was just saying my name is Michael McDowell, pronouns he, him, they, them. I'm an organizer. I'm excited to be on this call, right? Or this webinar, not call. Yeah, it's going to be awesome.
Awesome. Thank you. So we are going to go ahead and get started. So in this training, we're going to talk about the importance of songs and chants in our movements and at our actions, and take some time to practice coming up with our own chants for different rally scenarios. And then y'all have some time to ask Michael and I some questions. So let's get started. And first off, why are songs, first slide, there we go. Boom. Why are songs and chants important? Well, first off, they just make things fun. But they are also a really useful tool for nonviolence. They're a good way to create a unified front and to convey the message of the action. And they really keep you grounded in the work that you're doing and remembering those who did this work before you and continue on the legacy of making change.
Can y'all hear me?
Yep.
Sweet. And so history and tradition of songs and chants and movements. So chants and music has been used to share information and for as a unified message. Songs and chants are used for remembering history, so connecting us to our ancestors and the music that the ones who came before us sung, connecting us to cultural undercurrents, and also accessible and adaptable to everyday culture. Music is a powerful tool that we can use to adapt old songs and make them relevant to today. We're going to talk about that a little more later.
So when we think about sharing one unified message, songs and chants are a really great and creative way to deliver a message. Thinking back to sort of the historical roots of this, often think about slave spirituals that were literal instructions on how to escape up to the north. One great example is a song called Follow the Drinking Gourd, where each line in this song, literally each line in each verse, lays out a virtual roadmap for those slaves traveling the path to freedom, complete with landmarks to look out for, what time of day, and what to look for to take the next steps of your journey. I want to play this song for y'all so that you can hear some of the power of the song. Sorry about the commercial.
The entire time will go deeper. Oh, the drinking gold. Oh, the old man's waiting for to carry you to freedom. Oh, the drinking gold. River banks make somebody good road. The dead trees show you the way. And they traveling on.
Now, this song is awesome and actually literally had instructions at the beginning of the song when they were talking about the sun and the quail. That was literally the time of day that you could start your journey, even down to the dead trees as landmarks, and all the bits about the river were talking about how to actually find the Ohio River and cross it to north to freedom. Oh, Michael, I think you might be muted still.
Yep, I was. Sorry about that, y'all. So the drinking gourd, that song always gets me so deep. But yeah, music is very powerful. And one of the things that music and art does is it helps us remember our history. So songs provide connection to those that came before us, so our ancestors. There are songs of the civil rights era that are an ode to the tradition of slave spiritual songs that led to the freedom, like songs like Wade in the Water, Follow the Drinking Gourd. And these songs were adapted from common melodies used in spiritual and church music, which is also a strong oral tradition that was adapted for their current struggle. We have new chants that we say, like, for instance, we say, Black Lives Matter, Black Lives Matter, children, Black Lives Matter, beautiful and strong. That just came to mind, just like adapting a song for our current movement from, a slave spiritual, Wade in the Water. And another example is Ella's song, which I'm going to play for y'all, and I also love. Are you able to play that with me?
Amplified? Oh. Sorry, guys, for the commercial. Should be close to the other tabs. Awesome. And so when we think about continuity and cultural tradition, going from the civil rights struggle to the other side of the country, during the migrant farmers movement, De Colores was a song that was often been attached to that. And the song actually existed long before as just a simple Mexican folk song. But just the shared culture of these people who are fighting in this same struggle, having a shared song that they can sing together when they were at demonstrations meant that much. And even though the song is just simple, talking about the beautiful colors of the spring, having that cultural current, having that cultural connection, and in particular, having the song in Spanish meant a lot to these people. And it has actually been something that's kind of been branded with them, especially the organizing that was done by the United Farmers Workers. So we're gonna play that for you now. So that was the song De Colores. And then even moving back, go back a slide. Thinking about the chants, because chants are a really huge part of our actions. Actually, one that I've used just multiple times this year is that I didn't even know how strong the historical connection was. Cesar Chavez popularized 3 simple words into a chant that's literally still being used today. Si se puede just simply means yes, we can. It was back in like 72, and it's literally still being said today and still carries so much weight just from making it just from 3 simple, powerful words.
Thanks for Kel. I also think about Bob the Builder when I hear that. Not that Bob the Builder created that, but Obama ran his campaign on.
Well, yeah, that too.
Yeah. So acceptance and engagement of normalized culture. So music is an accepted, normalized art form and can be more effective at spreading and normalizing an idea to millions of people at protests, and normalizing an idea than millions of protests. So, for instance, songs are a great way to create a state shift, is what I call it. So I'm sure most folks have watched a movie, like you've watched the Titanic or like a romance movie or something like that that was super long, and it caused you to feel a certain way. But music, you can listen to a song that's 3 minutes long and it can give you the same effect as like watching Titanic. So that's how powerful art and music is. And one of the examples is We Shall Overcome, which actually has a really cool history. So Pete Seeger is the one who popularized it, white guy playing guitar, he's cool. But it actually started off as like a really, really slow hymn. And I was like, it was like, you sang Tima, you sang Tissima. And then it went into the hands of Charles Albert Tinley, I believe. And then in 1901, he was a Methodist pastor in Philly and also like a composer. And then he switched it up and he changed it to I'll Overcome Someday. And then around like, I don't know, 1947 or 50 or something like that, Paul Seeger got it and he changed the one word from we will to shall, because he said it formed better like with the mouth singing. And that's how We Shall Overcome came about. Like, this is a song that's been handed down for like generations, and now it's here and we're still singing it today. So we want to play that for y'all. I feel like most of y'all know it.
I mean, they've got a good melody going. Such a powerful song. Yeah, I didn't want to play too much of it since I'm sure that we all know it. And absolutely, everyone should go back and just look through these. And there's such a rich canon of so many songs that have been passed down and so many things that you're probably using now that you didn't even know where they started. But when thinking about the importance of songs and chants sort of in practice and as we're using them in our actions, we want to keep that tradition, that long history that we just laid out. We want to make sure that we're paying honor to that and remembering those people that started the fight before us so we can continue it. It creates cohesion amongst activists. If everyone knows what each other is saying, if everyone's saying the same things at the same time, if everyone's holding the same note and using the same melody at the same time, that creates just such a powerful undercurrent amongst the crowd, and even creates an opportunity for people who weren't with you before the action to join in and feel a part of you and feel a part of your community. It is a way to convey a unified message, because you're all saying words, but B, saying them in a way that is so much more powerful and able to be felt by people who are by your target, who you're actually singing to, and by people passing by you. It is a powerful tool of nonviolence. That's definitely something that was used strongly during the civil rights movement, but if you are in a contentious place and know that your opinion is counter to those around you, how better to sort of break that tension than by everyone standing together in song. You're not standing in hate. You're not standing in whatever they've imagined you to be. You're literally standing and raising your voice in song. It's an incredible image, and it really does a lot. And and they create a stage shift, like Michael was mentioning earlier, just an ability for people to understand a different way of viewing things, something that's different than their own preconceived political beliefs, that can allow you to engage with them in a different way and have them hear the message that you're really trying to bring. And then lastly, because it's awesome, like protests with chants and with songs with high energy are a lot more fun to be a part of than ones where everyone's just sort of standing around and holding signs and feeling kind of the heaviness of what they're up against. This is a celebration. We have to keep celebrating if we can, so we can continue to keep fighting every day.
Thanks, Raquel. So creating our own music. So you don't have to be a musician to create something powerful, and I believe that wholeheartedly. So for instance, one of the things we talk about with this training too that we usually do is it's like songs of power versus songs of performance. Like song of performance, you get up there, you got all this vibrato, you're just like, every night I rush to my bed, like you're doing all this extra stuff. Then a song of power is actually a song that you're singing so that the masses can sing along with you. And that's the type of music we're talking about. We're not talking about songs of performance that are only for like singing for one person. We're talking about songs of power that are created so that a mass can sing. Like everyone can't sing Sweet Dreams, Beautiful Nightmare by Beyonce, but everyone can sing We Shall Overcome. So I would consider that like a song of power. So that's what we're talking about. Like, how do we create songs of power? That changes people's state. I just want to give one quick example because we're saying state shift and just so people like really get it. We were at an action for BLM, and this is just this movement. We were on 94. The cops were just laughing at us. It was raining. And we were all like in a line across the highway. And I asked folks, I'm like, do you want to like nonviolently up on the police right now? And people are like, yeah, this is 94 in Minnesota, Minneapolis. In the winter, just give some more context, it's after 4th Precinct. Jamar Clark has just been killed, and we're like in the middle of our 18-day occupation of the 4th Precinct. And we shut down a highway pretty close to the 4th Precinct, and it's raining that night, it's cold, and the cops are just kind of laughing at us, like these protesters on the highway. And so I'm like, folks, do y'all want to turn up on them? Like, do you trust me? And they're like, yeah. And so we chant, we're young, we're strong, we're fighting all night long. But when we say fighting, we jump forward with our left foot. So it's like we're all like saying, we're young, we're strong, we're fighting all night long. And we do that until we're like face to face with the cops. And they're just like looking at us like, what the hell? And it completely like changed that action. It brought us from being like protesters on the highway to like protesters that like weren't backing down, and like had a message across like at any cost. Um, so that's just an example of like how music and art can like really change an action and like switch the state, because it made a lot of people on that highway go from feeling really cold and kind of powerless to feeling like really powerful. Like the chests were poked out, they were like ready. So just want y'all to keep in mind, like, messaging makes sense for Target. You don't have to create your own melody. Like, we can use melodies that already exist. An example is United We Dream. They adapted Everywhere We Go. Everyone knows that, you know, everywhere we go, people want to know. And they made that a call and response chant that was popularized in sports. And another example is the words of Chance the Rapper's Believe song. We do this at Momentum Training. It's like this national training program focused on building like mass progressive movements. But we say, the chant goes like, we gonna rise up till it's won. When the people rise up, the systems fall down. When the people rise up, the systems fall down. They try to stop us, but we keep coming back. It's like that. So adapting popular songs and adding words and making them specific to your movie. Thank y'all.
Awesome. Thank you, Michael. So now we have a chant for y'all to take a stab at creating your own chant. So in this exercise, imagine that we are throwing a rally against the proposed tax cuts. So we want to send a clear message to our member of Congress that we won't stand while they cut taxes on the rich and the working class, and especially the working poor. So we're hosting a rally outside of a member of Congress's office to demand, to make these demands clear. So let's develop a chant or a song to say when we're outside of their office actually holding this action. So take a few minutes to think of, you know, some phrases, some like quippy little snippets that go together to sort of talk about the unfairness of these proposed tax cuts of this administration. And then we'll report back and see what we got. Okay. What are those more things? All right. So now we had a few minutes to think about that. Does anyone have some nice little quippy snippets about unfair taxes that they want to share? Oh, so to do that, you can use your keyboard by chatting in a comment, or yeah. Yeah, and once you comment in, we'll put you on video so that you can share out your suggestion. Don't be shy. All righty. Well, in the interest of the next scenario, we're going to move on. Don't think you escaped quite yet. But also, definitely just sort of keep these things in mind so we can, oh, looks like got some folks. Okay, so looks like we have call and response. My tax dollars for the people, my country for the people. That's solid. That's super solid. Not for the Koch brothers. That's awesome. It's very adaptable. You can keep putting in different lines, keep having people. Ooh, not for Pfizer. Yes. That's awesome. I love this. Yeah, that's fantastic. Who was that? Was that Jeanne? Did I say your name correctly? Awesome. Thank you so much. Yeah, these are great suggestions. Very, very straight up and to the point. Then even and then even connecting it into like more issues that are coming up now with a lot of the issues that we're seeing with Pfizer, especially with the with the current healthcare battle and the Koch brothers who are just buying up everything. That's awesome. Cool. So now let's move on to the next scenario, which is talking about hurricane relief in the environment. So imagine you live in Houston and your home was devastated by Hurricane Harvey, and you know that the increased frequency and intensity of these storms is a symptom of global change, of global warming and climate change. Yet your congressional representative is a science denier who believes that hurricanes are still formed from the wrath of women. Because fun fact, guys, that was science in the last century. So because of their misguided views, they've not been given, your community has not been giving enough relief to deal with the aftermath of Hurricane Harvey, nor has there been any real investment in sustainable energies that would slow the progression of climate change and potentially save your community from worse disasters. So we need to let him know that his ignorance on this issue is not in line with his constituents and that he needs to support his community. So let's take a few more minutes to come up with some quick lines, some chants, some even like a little snippet that you could put into a piece of a song to talk about the importance of both hurricane relief and investment in clean energies to talk outside of Republican Representative Smith's office. And just throw your suggestions in the chat box and we'll read them out. Awesome. So now we start, after we took a little bit of time to sort of think through how to develop some of our own chants and really understanding sort of the grounding and foundation of sort of what we're coming into and the work that we're continuing to do. We want to make sure that we can get everybody in your crowd, everyone who showed up, to sing as one, because the power comes from a unified voice. And so to make sure that this goes well, there are a few things that you should definitely make sure you have picked ahead of time, and make sure that like everything runs smoothly and everyone has the ability to keep this thing going with a bunch of energy. So there are definitely some roles that you should have picked out beforehand. First one is the chant leader. And this is the person that will be getting everybody else to sing. These folks who ideally should be the people who like know it the best, who have the loudest voices, who are able to sort of carry the melody or carry the chant so that other people around who don't know it can listen to them to start to learn the words, to learn the melody, so that then they can pick up and sing with their own voices as well. And then you also want a signal person. This person is responsible for changing the songs and chants throughout the action, slowing and for letting this chant leader know which chants they should be picking up at what time. This is especially important, I think, at least in my experience, when we're doing marches. When people are sort of spread out, it's hard to like know who's saying what at different time. If there are signal people like throughout the crowd and they know which song we should be singing when should we switch which song, it really helps to keep everything unified and cohesive. You should also have a rhythm keeper, someone to make sure that everyone's actually staying on the same pace, staying on the same beat, and feeling the same pulse. My suggestion is to bring a drum, or a tambourine, something that makes nice noise that you can keep a steady beat on, something that's loud enough to be heard through the crowd. And then the last thing you absolutely want to do is to practice. Practice with all your folks who have roles. Make sure the chant leaders know what the chants are, know what the songs are. The signal people know when to switch, when they're supposed to switch. The rhythm keepers know, like, are in tandem with the signal people so that they need to switch up the rhythm because of switching to a different song. They're able to do that smoothly, just to make sure that everything actually goes the way that it is intended to. You actually make the impact that you're trying to get from the songs and chants that you have during your demonstration. And with that,
also Raquel,
yeah,
I wanted to say that we I think it's Cree. Their name is Cree Ganmorin. They put it inside the Q&A. They had posted their chant: raise the taxes on the 1%, their fair share. They don't have to pay my rent, their fair share. Healthcare is a right for all, their fair share. Regulation should not fall, their fair share.
That's awesome. Thank you so much. I'm so sorry I missed that, Cree. That's fantastic. Awesome. Yeah, a lot of really great chants. And see, y'all came up with that in just a few minutes. Awesome. And so with that, brings us into our Q&A section, portion of the evening, where you can ask Michael and I any questions that you have about creating songs, developing chants, experiences that we've had during our own time as community organizers, leading chants and protests and good stuff like that. And then same way, you guys can chat in your questions, or you can raise your hand and we can bring up your video. So you guys can ask us virtually face to face. Okay, so it looks like we did such a fantastic job with this presentation that y'all have no questions. But seriously, thank you all for attending. I'm really glad you were able to come to this third installation of the fall training series, which we call this one, Make a Joyful Noise. We have recorded this one so you guys can access it later. Definitely feel free to come back and revisit some of these, check out some of the songs and links that we've had as examples for this training. And yeah, I hope y'all have a great Sunday.
Thanks for having us, y'all.
Awesome. Good night, everyone. Oh, you have a chat maybe? No. Okay. You're welcome.
Oh, we have a question. Oh, nope, just thanks so much. Okay. Thank you, Chris.